and today we're taking a look at the Amiga collection for the Sega Dreamcast. And that's right, we're going to need keyboard and mouse. Now technically you don't have to use keyboard and mouse, but let me tell you, I really do think this almost is a necessity for this, because it just seems to work so much better in operation if actually using it. Yes, obviously you can use the standard Dreamcast controller with VMU as well, which is great because obviously you can save. But let's take a deep dive into this collection, which is done by Micheal, FlorreW, and also Kremiso. It was obviously FlorreW's idea to put this collection together, and now we've got the team that has built this one, and it's here for the Sega Dreamcast. Now, I didn't grow up with an Amiga, I was an Amstrad guy, so for me, this is kind of a journey of exploration and discovery as well. So that really got me interested in this collection, because like I said, I never really played with a lot of an Amiga, but hey, now is the time. Titles like SimCity, Lemmings, all the good ones, for the Amiga on the Dreamcast. Let's do it. Right, that's right, you have to put a disc in, right? So yes, you can clearly see this is using Micheal's, let's call it the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles framework. And what I mean by that is it's the framework that he built the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles collection on. You got a nice rundown here of who's actually involved in the project, which is great. Kremiso, FlorreW's idea, and then IMR Technologies' actual programming genius. That's right, all in this collection. Now, yes, this technically is the first time we've seen a big Amiga collection come together, really, and in the way we're seeing it right now. So yes, as every decent collection does on the Dreamcast, it really does pack in a hell of a lot of games and also a lot of fan service. Now, as you'll see, there is a how to use video tab, which will basically tell you how to use the emulation. And now the greatest thing I love about this is, yes, it has the basic controls, which, you know, at the end of the day, if you don't understand the controls of this, you're not going to get very far. Like I said, ideally use keyboard and mouse. This really is the ideal way to play this, although you can use it with the on-screen keyboard and joypad. I personally don't like that way, I prefer keyboard, but this is what I liked. The history of the Amiga documentary in its entirety is included.
You want one word?
An Amiga? Right on.
Amazing Amiga, that's it.
I was going to say awesome, but that sounds like a cartoon.
Radical, and it's certainly a radical.
Now the collection alone, really, with that included, is worth it on its own. And like I said, there's 140 plus packed games into this collection. So let's kick off and let's actually take a look at one of those, shall we? And the first one we're looking at, that's right, it's one of my favourites. It's Arkanoid. And that's right, the best way to play it is with the mouse. And that's right, it is actually the best way to play it in this collection. So for me, the reason I love playing this game with a mouse is the fact that it kind of almost replicates the spinner, the original arcade spinner that was used. You're literally just moving the mouse, using the left button to fire. That's really all you need for this game. It's a simple game anyway. And yes, it just feels right using the Dreamcast mouse. Like I said, pretty much every game here is fully supported by keyboard and mouse. Yes, you can use the gamepad as well, but that just doesn't quite cut it for me. It really, really doesn't. Now, one thing you're going to see is the fact that the emulation across these games really is pretty damn on point. Now, obviously, the fact FlorreW is a massive Amiga fan at heart as well as so is Ian, then that really shows to you the reasons that they put so much time into getting it how it is. Ian put a hell of a lot of time into making sure that it really is optimised to how it should be. The best way. Now you've got to remember, some of the games do load slow, but it is emulating the Amiga, and the Amiga is loading the way it would do, so it does sometimes take a little longer than some people might like. Now yes, I've obviously mentioned the fact that the keyboard is probably the best way to play most of these games, and really for me it shone when I was playing through Metal Gear. Now I've never actually to this point played Metal Gear until I played this collection, so that really does show you what this collection is going to do for a lot of people. It's going to get people playing the Amiga that may have never played it in the first place. Don't get me wrong, I would love to see a kind of homebrew collection of Amiga titles come to this, you know, to the Dreamcast at some point, because there's a hell of a lot of Amiga homebrews. One good thing to know is yes, the VMU support is here as well, now be it using the paint programs, where you can obviously back up your photos, your creations, then import them back in again. You can do that, as well as also saving your progress in games as well. So the fact VMU support is here makes a hell of a lot of sense, right? It really, really does. Now, there is also the multi-disc kind of emulation side of it as well. Yes, that's here as well, be it through games like Lemmings, Dune, you name it, you can do it. And that, to me, just shows how comprehensive this collection is. It's not just single games, it's multi-disc games as well. This really is the best Amiga collection that I can even actually think of on any darn console. Obviously, it's gonna be on the best one of them all, right? The Dreamcast. Now, one thing to remember is the aspect ratios aren't always 100%, but there is a guide included in the video guides on how to actually correct this. So, yes, although it doesn't look 100%, you can certainly work with it. There are some games where you may even notice a bit of slowdown. The music's maybe it's a bit slow. But for me, does that really matter? We're seeing this all run on the Sega Dreamcast. You've got to remember, a lot of emulators for PCs say they should be running with at least 1 GHz processors. The Dreamcast doesn't have that. So what we've got is a really good emulator running on essentially an underpowered system. The collection also kind of offers the type of games I really, really love, like Head Over Heels. I've wanted Head Over Heels on the Dreamcast for the longest of times. I really, really have. And FlorreW took the request, and now it's here. So this really, you know, for me, is incredible, because it really does offer absolutely everything. We've got emulation really to a point that you really can't see much going wrong here in the sense of the actual emulation itself. The games are pretty damn top notch. Pretty much any you can really think of, yes, they're here. Including racing simulations, like I said, the horror titles, platformers, adventure titles, you name it, they're pretty much all here. In closing, this is a collection that every single Dreamcast owner should have. Whether you're an Amiga fan or not, this really is showcasing how emulation can be done on the system. Yes, this probably could be optimised even a little bit more, but for me, it's doing well, and it's a great way to get into Amiga through the Sega Dreamcast. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like, comment and subscribe. As well as that, you can also back the channel on Patreon. QR code is down below. But obviously you can check out this video, you can also check out that video. And on that note, it's Al signing out.